Hey there YouTube, what's going on? It's Pokemon Ryan here bringing you another narrated Wi-Fi battle. Here's one I had against someone I met on Facebook, and straight into the battle. Leads off with Gardevoir, would off with my Sash Butterfree. He switches straight into Arbok because I go straight for the Sleep Powder. And then, as soon as he switches straight out from his Arbok after that, and I go straight for a Butterfly Dance as he goes into his Pupitar. And then here I decided to go ahead and go for a Bug Buzz because I forget if it's resisted or not, and I thought, well, might as well go ahead and get some damage on it before he breaks my Sash. And then he uses Smackdown to break it, and then I go for one more Bug Buzz, just try and get more damage on it, and he goes for an Earthquake, taking out my Butterfree. So it's already a 6-5, but his Pupitar is pretty low, so I go straight into my Sneasel to go for a Choice Banded Ice Punch and take it straight out. And then after that, he switches straight into his Amamomoa, and I switch out and go into my Garbodor, and he goes for a Wish, and he switches out as I go for a Spikes, and he goes into his Earth Ring, which gets the Toxic Orb activated, which I don't know if that was a Quick Feed or I'm guessing Quick Feet looking at the damage, and I go straight for a Gunk Shock after he facades and does a crap ton of damage to me. And then afterturn effects, of course, and he goes for another facade, taking me straight out. And then from here, I switch into my Sneasel again, this time going for a Choice Banded Ice Shard, taking out his Earth Ring in one hit again. So now it is a 4-4, I believe, and he goes into his Amamomoa again. And I switch out and go into my Miltank. And with my he sets up another Wish. And with my Miltank, I go for a Rocks when he switches out into his Arbok, which gets the Intimidate on me. And then here I switch, after afterturn effects, I switch out into my Slowking as he tries to waste a turn of sleep, and then he tries to waste another turn of sleep as I go for a Dragon Tail, switching him straight out into his Electros, and all I was trying to do here was go ahead and start getting some damage on it with Rocks and Spikes, whatever came in. And so I switch out into my Electros as he goes for the Acid Spray, which lowers my special defense. And then I go for the Flamethrower to get some damage on it before he possibly takes me out, which I believe he does with this Flamethrower, I forget. No, he doesn't actually, okay. So he doesn't take me out, I live with 3 HP. Then he goes into his Amamomoa as I go for another Flamethrower and then take myself out with the Wifi Orb. But I get some good damage on that Amamomoa, and it's a crit. Love it. Then here I go into my Sneasel, and I went for a Choice Band and Brick Break to see how much it did, and he went for a Wish. I'm a bit sad about how much that damage was. Here I went for another Brick Break, hoping to see maybe I could get a crit or do max damage, because I think the last one was min. As he goes for a Toxic, and then heals most of all that HP up with his Wish. And Leftovers Recovery, and then I get hurt by Toxic. So here I switch out into my Slowking, as he goes for another Wish. Oh, these things are annoying. And then he switches out into his Electros as I go for a Dragon Tail, switching it back out, get more damage from Spikes and Stealth Rocks. And then, after effects, he gets his Wish now and Leftovers. And he goes for another Wish as I go for another Dragon Tail, switching him out this time into Gardevoir, which is bad because then it chases my Regeneration, which means it'll get all its HP back if it switches out, or 33 if it switches out. And then he goes for a Shadow Ball as I go for another Dragon Tail, switch him straight back out, dealing some damage, and get Electros into the field, which then receives the Wish, which was kind of a bad play on my part. Now it's all healed up again. And then I decide to stay in, see what he'll do as he goes for the Acid Spray. And I go for another Dragon Tail. And I get a crit for that one, and it comes out into Arbok, which gets the Intimidate on me after taking Stealth Rocks and Spikes damage. And here I decide, well, the Arbok is getting kind of annoying, so I go ahead and do a straight for a Psychic and take it right out of there. So now it is a 4-3, I believe? Unless I've missed something. And then he goes into his Gardevoir, which traces my Regenerator again. And I decided just to go ahead and switch out my Slowking and go into my Sneasel, as he goes for a Shadow Ball, which does not that much, thanks to resistance. And I decided to go ahead and reveal that I am a Pursuiter, so he tries to switch out, and I go for a Choice Banded Stab Pursuit, which takes his Gardevoir right out of the game. Which just makes me really happy. And he switches out into his Amamomoa. And here I decide to switch out into my Miltank, as he goes for a Wish. And then here I go for a Heal Bell, as he goes for a Toxic on my Miltank, which would have been better if my Miltank was a little bit slower, get rid of it right away. Oh well. And then I go for a Body Slam, hoping for Paralysis, and it does a crit. Yay for crit, but you know, for no paralysis. And then he goes for a Wish. Wish I had gotten that paralysis. And then he goes for, switches into his Electros, as I go for another Body Slam, hoping for paralysis, and I get it this time! And then he heals up all his HP with his Wish. And then here I go for a Heal Build to recover from the Toxic, as he goes for an Acid Spray, which will to lower my Special D. And then here I go for a Milk Drink just to recover some HP and see what he's going to do, most likely take me out. And he goes for a Stab T-Bolt, and after that Spec D-Drop with the Acid Spray, it's going to take me out in one hit, sadly. So I go into my Slowking, and he goes for an Acid Spray, as I go for a Dragon Tail, switch him out, and get him into his Amamomoa. And then here I decide, what is it I go for? I go for a Scald here, I believe, hoping to get the burn. I do go for a Scald. I get the burn on my first try. Hacks is really on my favor in this battle, it seems. And here, he goes for a Toxic on me, and then I go for a Dragon Tail, switching him out again. And he gets switched out into his Electros, which is somewhat of a bad matchup, especially since I have had Acid Spray take me down some damage. And I go ahead and go for a Psychic to get some damage on it while it's paralyzed. And he takes me out with a T-Bolt. So down Slowking. So now it's a 2-1 for his favor. 1-2, whichever way you want to look at it. And I go into my Sneasel, and I go straight for a Choice Banded Ice Punch. And he gets paralyzed. If that hadn't happened, I would not have won this match. I'll say that right now. And then I go for an Ice Punch again, taking it out with a crit, which would have been helpful last turn. Oh well. And then he goes into his Amamomoa, which gets hurt by Stealth Rock and Spikes, and I take it out with an Ice Punch. So that is good game, and see you guys next time.